Hello, I'm Cassie Questorf, Executive Director of Klamath Film, and you just watched After the Beep, a film about a man after receiving a series of voicemails is having a pretty bad day. Or is he? With us today is Jared Waters. He is the director, writer, producer, and actor. And thank you so much for being with us today, Jared, and being a part of the Klamath Independent Film Festival.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. It's a lot of fun to be part of this. So thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. So as a director, writer, producer, and actor, you're wearing a lot of hats, and you've said that on your best days they really elevate each other in these roles, and maybe on the worst days they're kind of stumbling upon each other. So can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. So, it's kind of a little odd because I do have a lot of credits in this film, but luckily I worked with an excellent cinematographer slash co-director on this film, and uh, he definitely carried at least his half of the creative weight. So, there's a lot of titles that kind of end up being shuffled under my name, but I don't want to overstate the credit because without Dan Clamorous, this film wouldn't have been made. So, but yeah, I think in answer to your question, sometimes when you're acting and being the director, you can kind of you know what the director wants, so you can try to deliver that. I think the biggest challenge is perception. As the actor, you think you portray something in a certain way, and then later on, when you're watching the take, you're like, oh, man, that was not what I thought I did at all. So that's where it's a little, you can only be one place at once, and that's where it's a little bit more limiting to do multiple roles. So
For sure. And in preparation for this film, you wrote 15 scripts. So what was it kind of like that process and choosing this script over the others?
yeah, so we did things a little bit backwards than I think normally do. So we chose a date, and then we chose a location, and then we started generating ideas for it. Uh, uh, we were very collaborative, but we don't live in the same place, so it was a little bit of an effort to get together, and we wanted to make sure that it was worth it. So I just started coming up with ideas, and I would pitch ideas, and he'd be like, "That one sounds okay," and then I'd write a script. I mean, luckily with short scripts, they're only five or so pages, give or take. And I think it really honed through a lot of ideas, and uh, uh, you know, uh, screenwriting is something that I'm always trying to develop as well. So it was good homework for me. And you know, uh, this particular one, wrote out really naturally, and sometimes they're a painful birth, but this one was very quick, and um, you, you know flowed really well, and I think that's just reflective in the story itself. The other film that we ended up doing, we actually did two films on the same day. This was the second of the two. Was not quite as fluid, and I think you can see that in the results as well. I think there's a reason why this film was lucky enough to screen at the Klamath Film Festival, and the other film was not. So, yeah, process.
That is an interesting kind of creative process. It's almost like a workshop in filmmaking. Like, okay, let's work backwards now. So, would you recommend that to other people just kind of as like a different way to take on things or
If I think it depends on what you're doing, and the types of films. So originally we started out doing 48-hour film festivals where you write, produce, and film and edit a movie in 48 hours, and those are just a ton of fun. Um, and we wanted to do something a little more planned and a little bit more polished. But I find with me and a lot of other filmmaker friends that you spend a lot more time talking about making films than making films. So nothing beats a deadline to getting everything together. And especially for people that don't do this professionally, that are doing this out of their own passion, I think it's really easy to get pushed back and back, and then locking in a location and a date really locks you into a project in a completely different way. So I think it depends on your process, but it's not something I would say works for everybody, but works really well for a lot of people, I think. So give it a shot.
For sure. Nothing quite like a deadline to get those creative juices flowing and make things happen. But yeah, take us on the set. I mean, this was a 16-hour day at this location. So what was that? I mean, it sounds like it was fun and you had a great team working with. So what was that
Yeah.
whole day kind of like?
Well, so it was like a 16-hour day, but we did two films within that. So the first film was a little bit more of a comedy, and there's always a lot of uh, just getting out the kinks. So I'm really glad we did that film first, and then luckily for the second half of the film, which was largely filmed at night, we were already pretty exhausted, but the character is pretty exhausted as well. So it's a little bit of method acting, I think, where it's like, okay, we'll just make the character actually be at the end of a long day. So it worked out really uh, well with that. But the location was great, and we were able to um, do two very different films at the same place, which is a lot of fun because it makes them seem distinct. So yeah,
For sure. Definitely a memorable day. And
yes.
like you had said, the character in the film, after he's just had a long day as well. So I am curious, the ending kind of does leave some up to interpretation. What do you think happens to our main character? What do you think his next chapter is?
You know, I think like a lot of experiences, they impact us, and something like that definitely impacts him, but also not as much as you think it will. So I don't think he's unchanged, but I don't think it's as much of a restart as he could. I think it's kind of that sad, realistic, just okay. I had this experience. I'm going to make it a part of myself, but I am going to continue on, which um, is strong and yet also maybe a little sad. I don't know. I
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there's, some philosophy there, like no one really knows what they're doing in life. So is it better to not know what you're doing and just go out terrified, or is it better to just be comfortable but stuck and maybe not living up to your full potential? So there's a lot of life philosophy in the film.
we did try to make it have some legs for sure.
For sure. Well, what is next for Two Canary Films? Do you have any upcoming projects that you're excited about or are looking forward to filming?
Yeah. So my friend Daniel just finished up working on a feature. So um, that's going to be a project that he was involved in. That is going to be amazing. And then we did another shorts about I don't know, just 2 months ago or something like that. Again, just a little bit longer, a single project, but over 36 hours instead of like
Uh,
and that one is at least going to be visually very beautiful. This film on a great location, at exterior, and is in the process of being edited. So, if you're an editor and would like to join our team, that's something where we always struggle a little bit. Is getting the film from off file card into a viewable format. So, yeah,
yeah, post production phase always just kind of
always there's no deadline, so it really it's much harder for us. So
absolutely for sure. Yeah. Well, your next deadline can be our deadline for next year on the Climate
sounds like
Festival
sounds like a plan.
submissions.
Yeah,
Perfect. Which is maybe a little too far out. So maybe you want to set yourself up before that.
sure.
Um, but yeah, well, do you have any thoughts about the film that you just want to share with people, or what do you hope people take away from it?
Um, you, I know that a lot of people that attend the film festivals are other filmmakers, and I just think it's really interesting to identify some of your things that you feel like weak on, and then write a script that kind of focuses those. So a lot of people, including myself, struggle with pacing, and so we developed the message mechanism within the film as a way to keep that pacing up. So we had certain actions that we wanted to do. And and I guess that's one of the things that I would throw out there is, identify something that you don't really feel like you're that great at, and try to, write a script just to focus on that. And that's kind of what we've been doing with the series projects. And we really appreciate the people watching them, and we enjoy being at these festivals. So thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you so much for being a part of it. We truly enjoyed After the Beep, and we're so excited to be showing it. So thank you for making it and sharing it with us.